In the last section, we created a new project directory to house the project that we're going to be working on. We're going to do just a touch more setup right now, and then we'll talk about exactly what it is that we're going to be making. First, at my command line, I'm going to run the command npm init. This will generate a package.json inside of my current directory right here. Package.json is a file that is used to record dependencies that will be required for this project that we're going to make. Like I said, we're doing this whole thing from scratch, and step number one is always to start a new package.json file inside your project directory. So I just ran npm init, and now I'm going to be prompted with a series of questions. We're not going to enter any important or information just yet. We're going to come back and change these settings later on. So for right now, I'm just going to press enter, 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 and that's it. We're good to go. Now I'm going to install 3 different packages into this project as well by using the npm package manager as well. So I will run npm install -- save, and then 3 different packages. The first one is going to be Mocha. The second one is going to be nodemon. And the third one is going to be the Mongoose library that we've been discussing. So I'll say Mongoose like so. Do double check your spelling on all 3 of these. We definitely want to make sure you're getting the correct packages here. All right, so we'll let that go. It's going to take just a moment to install. So while that is running, let's talk a little bit about the application that we're going to make. So here's the goal. Remember, the whole goal, the whole point of this first exercise is to make sure that you get total mastery of the very 4 common fundamental operations in a Mongo database: creating, reading, updating, and destroying data. To make sure that you've got total mastery over these concepts, we're going to wire up a simple application. Again, it's going to have no like front end or UI component or anything like that, where we will create a Mongo database with a collection of users. And a user is going to be an object of some sort that has like, maybe a name and an email address, that kind of stuff. We're then going to wire up this collection of users to the Mongoose library. And then once we wire these 2 things up together, we're going to use the Mocha testing framework to test our entire setup and make sure that we are actually inserting records into our database. Now, this might sound like kind of a goofy first project. You might be thinking, Steven, this is so simple. Why can't we do some fancy like web application with HTML and JavaScript and animations and cool stuff like that? Hey, I'm totally with you. Totally with you. I want to make the cool stuff too. But before we get to the cool stuff, we got to make sure that we got those solid fundamentals. And trust me, as we go through this process, all the code that we write with Mocha, all the testing stuff that we do, is going to be 100% applicable to your production style applications. And what I mean by that is as you go and work on your own projects, if you want to come back and write some number of tests in there as well, you will be able to take the exact same principles and concepts that we're going to use with Mocha and Mongoose and apply them there as well. So really, I'm very excited about this project. I think there's going to be a lot of very good value you get out of it, and I think you're really going to like it. So let's check our install status. Okay, looks like everything's good to go. I want to cover just one more quick topic before we start writing some code in the next section, and that is to talk a little bit about our project structure. So here's a diagram of all the different files that I expect to have inside of our project. We're going to create one folder called src, which is just short for source, and it's going to contain a file called user.js. This user.js file is going to contain a bunch of code that somehow maps Mongoose and Mongo together. Okay, so that's where we're going to kind of put these 2 ideas or these 2 concepts together. Once we put together this user.js file, we'll also start to write some test files in a separate directory called test. We're going to have 4 separate files in there, one for each of the most common ways that we'll manipulate a resource. So we'll have a single file to test our ability to create a new user and save it to the database. We'll make another one to read some data out of the database, and then update and destroy as well. I think you get the picture. So as we put together this model, we'll be testing all the different common operations that we'll want to use on it inside of our test directory. At the end of the day, again, we're going to have a great idea of how Mongoose and Mongo work together. So I'm really excited about this project. Let's get started with our coding in the next section.